Just to put it much lower. Put it much lower. I'm going to teach. I'm talking on the phone now. Should we say about the side or should we just... Okay, today we're up to the Medal and Medalaf. We're going to have speaking about if heter is mitzaref to iser, meaning if I have, let's say I have to eat a kazais of something usher to be mechayev malchus. The question is if that whole kazais has to be something usher, or even if I have something which is mixed in to that kazais which is mutter, but since it's part of the same kazais, do we say that since you ate a kazais, now a full kazais of iser, are you chayev or not? So we finished off yesterday with base saying that generally heter is not mitzaref to iser besides 2 times. Zaidi said the only time heter mitzaref to iser is by Potash, that if a person is marked on his back half a kazais of chametz, and he joined together with that half a kazais of matzah, so now has a full kazais, half a chametz, half a matzah. Even though the chametz and matzah are mixed together, and each one is visible separately, is still chayev malchus, because the heter, the matzah is mitzaref to the chametz. Okay, says the Gemara all the way at the bottom of the Gimel with base. Come on, who does it go according to? Because Rabbi Lezer goes according to Rabbi Lezer. The Darsh call, Rabbi Lezer learns that from the word call to teach us that from the extra word call that you don't need the full kazais of iser, even if there's heter, there's something which is permitted, which is mixed into the iser. If that makes it a shir kazais, then it makes it aser. Says the Gemara, if you know that from the kol union. To Pesach nami. Why regarding chum to Pesach do we say regarding chum to Pesach? Also says the word call. Regarding chum to Pesach, you only chayev if you eat a whole kazais of chametz. But if you don't eat a whole kazais of chametz, you pater. Says the Gemara in chanami. Who said you pater? Maybe you chayev. That which is already said. The only exception that we say heter mitzaref to iser is regarding teres. Is lafokim dabai. He just chose that example to teach us Abay's din. Exclude Abay's din. What's Abay's din? Abai said, Abai said, yes, Abai said that to be chayiv, to be makdi something on the mizbeach, you don't have to have a full kazais. You chayiv malchus even if it's less than a kazais. Kamash malan. That's why Ziri teaches us that haktara lav lepachim kazais, that less than a kazais is not counted as a haktara, and therefore you're only chayiv if you makdi a full kazais. But in that full kazais, it doesn't have to be a whole kazais of iser. It has to be even a small half of it is aser. As long as half the kazais is aser, then it's ready enough to make you chayiv malchus. Tell the Gemara like this: Yosef Rav Dimi v'kamal al hashmaita. Rav Dimi, and we're holding 4 lines from Memdal the Modal. Rav Dimi was sitting in the base of Medrash and was teaching this din. Which din? The din that ain't heter, that generally heter is not mitzaref to iser, besides a nazir. Besides the nazir and the Thursday we said yesterday. Yeah, so in generally the din is that heter is not mitzaref to iser. In order to be chayiv malchus on something, you have to have a full kazais of iser. But if something is mixed in over there, which is mutter, then it's not, you're not chayiv. So when he told you that Rav Dimi gave a drush in this din, Amala Abai Rav Dimi, Abai told Rav Dimi, v'chol isun shavuter ein heter mitzaref to iser. You telling me that I know all the isurim besides the nazir and besides Thursday we said yesterday, heter is not mitzaref to make something aser. But now we learn in the Mishnah, hamikba, if you have a soup, shal truma, if you have a soup of truma, let's say you make a soup of trumadik apples or trumadik vegetables, vashum, vashem and shachol, and inside the soup you have olives, or you have olives or oil of cholin. So the soup is truma, and the spices are cholin. Okay, so you have, let's say, olives sticking out. If you have garlic sticking out, so the garlics are chulin, and the base, meaning the soup, is truma. And v'nagat tvolyem b'miksasan, and it's tvolyem, someone who's tamei touched a bit of the soup. So then it's pasal as kolon, he passled the whole soup, meaning now the whole soup becomes tamei. Why? Because saying the soup is truma. And truma becomes tamei when someone touches it, when the tvolyem touches it. A regular person doesn't become tamei when tvolyem touches it. Truma does become tamei if the tvolyem touches it. But since the base is truma, so we say that the olives and the garlic, even though they are chulin, so they shouldn't be tamei, but since they're mixed into the soup, so they also become tamei. What if it's the other way around? What if you have a soup which is chulin, a soup which is mundane soup? Vashum vashemen shal truma. And the garlic, you have garlic in there, and you have olives, which is truma. You have garlic and olives, which is truma. So you have garlic and olives in your soup. The garlic and olives are truma, and the actual soup is chulin. So the base is chulin, and the spices are truma. V'nagat tfol mixasam, and it's tfol touched in a bit of the soup. So the only part that becomes tummy is the part that he touched. Why? Because even though there's trumadik garlic and mushrooms in there, garlic and the olives in there, but the garlics and olives are bottled to the soup, and the soup is chulin, and the chulin doesn't become tummy, and therefore, since the chulin doesn't become tummy, the garlic and olives, even though they're truma, also don't become tummy. So that's the thing we're supposed to learn in the Mishnah. What do we want to derive from this? And when we learn this, Rabbi said, when we learn this Mishnah, we ask the question: the part that he touched, we said that the whole soup is tar besides the part that he touched. The question is, why is that part that he touched puzzle? Why is that part that he touched not fit for truma? Why don't we say that the olives and the garlic, and even though the truma, they should be butter in the whole soup, and if the whole soup should be like chulin? Why do we say that a small part of the soup stays tummy? Because it has garlic and mushrooms inside. Let's see, garlic and onions which are truma. Why do we say the garlic and onion is truma? And it should be bottled to the whole soup. And if the whole soup is chulin, so the garlic and onions also become chulin. The garlic and olives also become chulin. And therefore, the whole thing should become puzzle. So that's the question. And Rabbi Bachana answered us. He told him like this: Ma tam, why does the taka work like that? He answered them because the hoyol v'zor loika aleim. Since if a zor, someone who's not a kohen, would eat this soup, he would get malchus, meaning since if someone who's not a kohen would drink the whole soup, he will be chayav malchus. Why would chayav malchus? Even though the garlic and the garlic and the olives are truma, are only a minute, but at the end of the day, since they're truma, if you drink the whole soup, including the garlic and the olives, you're chayav malchus because you drank a kazayis of garlic and olives. So since regarding malchus, it's one, we look at the garlic and olives as truma. So therefore, we can't say that they're bottled to the whole soup. So that's the thing we learned in the Beis HaMedrash. So now, Rabbi Barachana is asking of Dim, hey Chidam, what's the din? In other words, what's the din that someone gets malchus if he drinks this soup? If he drinks a kazais from the soup, he gets malchus. How is it possible they should get malchus? Yeah, let's say a person has a big chicken soup, and inside he has a few olives, chopped up olives that are trum. If he's gonna have a spoon of soup, inside the spoon of soup has a bit of the olive, but the rest of the kazayis, the rest of the spoon is soup. The then he gets malchus. The question is, how does he get malchus? He didn't have a full kazayis of olives. He only had a small slice of olive. Is it not because that we say hater mitzayif iser, that the soup is mitzayif to the olives, and we say the soup is mitzayif to the olives? If you had the kazayis soup, it's as if you had the kazayis of olive, and if you had the kazayis of olive, then you chayav malchus. And if that would be the explanation in our din, then that would be a question of Echnan, because Echnan said the only time we say that the het is mitzayif to iser is only regarding a nazir. But over here we see another din regarding truma that the het is also mitzayif to iser. Answers the Gemara, no. The reason why he gets malchus even if he has a kazayis of the soup is not because het is mitzayif to the iser. It's because my kazayis. What does it mean if he eats a kazayis he gets malchus? Is the ikar kazayis b'chtei achilas pras? It means that inside this soup it has enough onions that if you can eat a pras, if you can eat a small part of the soup, you're for sure going to have a kazayis. And therefore, if you're going to have a small part of the soup, which for sure is going to include the kazayis, enough kedei achilas pras, so then for sure, so then you chai malchus, because it's not pshat that you're having kazayis and then you're having kazayis and then the het is mitzayv to this. No, it's that in the soup has enough onions, enough olives, and enough garlic of truma, whatever it is, that it's a significant amount that if you're going to have a small part of the soup, you're for sure going to have a kazais. And that's why you get malchus. Not because we said they had some time to this. Says the Gemara, I see this shear that we just mentioned now. That kazais is press means a certain shear. If you have a certain chacham said that if you can if you can the shear of kazais is press. This shear is a din deraisa. Just to recap, there's a din called kedei press. It's a din brought down in a lot of places. It's a measurement Chacham gave that if someone's going to eat, let's say someone's going to eat this soup. If he's going to eat this soup, and let's say the time that it takes to finish half a loaf of bread, let's say it takes 9 minutes to finish a half a loaf of bread. So if he's going to eat 9 minutes, the soup for 9 minutes, then inside and there's enough olives that in those 9 minutes if sure can have a kazais, then we say that the whole soup now becomes us. So to the din over here, the soup becomes usher. Why does it become usher? Not because we say that the soup is mitzayev to the olives. It's because there's enough olives inside that you're for kedei achilas pras. Says the Gemara, this shear is a din deraisa. How can you get malchus for this shear? It's a din chachamim made, not a din deraisa that you get malchus for. Amalei in it is a din deraisa. How do I know it's din deraisa? We're going to see soon. But the Gemara asks, if it's din deraisa, am I pleading the why regarding kutach habavli do Rabbanan argue Rabbi? What's this din? There's a din something called kutach habavli. Kutach habavli is a certain dish that has a bit of chametz inside. So Rabbi says, if you eat this dish, you are chayiv malchus on Pesach, even though it's not a full measurement of chametz. But Rabbi says that you chayiv malchus on Pesach. Masechta Chametz say that there's not enough chametz mixed inside, and therefore, since not enough chametz mixed inside, then you're not mechayiv chametz. You're not mechayiv. So the question is, if there's enough chametz in this kutach habavli that has a chilas pras, and the chilas pras is a sheer deraisa, why did Rabbanan say that you're patur? You should be chayev. Answers the Gemara, Lamai mishom hatem mitzayef deisa. Says the Gemara, Lamai. So what are you going to answer me? You're going to answer me the reason why you like it back to the case of Truma. The reason why you get malchus by the case of the kazais, if you the kazais of the soup mishom the hatem mitzayef deisa. Back to the question before. Back to the answer before that we answered that the het is mitzayef deisa. Says the Gemara, safe. Even if you answer that the reason why if you eat a kazais of the soup, you're chayiv because the het is mitzayef deisa, safe. At the end of the day, I might plead Rabbanan law the belaz b'kotach habavli. Why did Rabbanan argue with the belaz b'kotach habavli? Even if you're going to answer it's het mitzayef deisa, but kotach habavli also they should say het mitzayef deisa. In other words, why are we differentiating between over here the case of truma and kotach habavli? Regarding the case of truma, on a regular day, we say that if you have a small part of it, you're chayiv. Regarding the din of kotach habavli, on Pesach, Rabbanan say that if you have a small part of it, you're patur. Answers the Gemara, lahanach lekotach habavli. Leave the case of kotach habavli alone. Don't bring a proof from there. Why? Because the last mikazai is b'dei achilas pras. There's not enough chametz in kotach habavli for achilas pras. Why? Because if you're eating this kotach, if you're eating this dish without dipping it into anything, without dipping it into any spices, the kasar of achale. If you're eating it plain, meaning you're just swallowing it without any extras, so therefore you're only eating a small part. So but the daite to column, your butter. This is not the way you usually eat it, and therefore you anyway be patur because butter daite. And the mishtar koshotar v'achan, if you're dipping it into other dishes, other spices, and eating it slowly, then less big kazais b'dei achilas pras. Then you're not going to have a kazais b'dei achilas pras. Why? Because when you're dipping it into other dishes, so you're mixing it with other dishes which are okay, and therefore you're only having a small minute portion of the kutach, and that's not kedei achilas pras, and therefore you be patur. So don't bring a proof from kutach. Says the Gemara, Eisvei. Gemara is going to ask another question on this din of hatem mitzayef deisa again, which you're saying now that there's a din called the din of kedai achilas pras. The din called that even if you have something inside a dish, meaning if you have a dish which is type of ingredient, but you have inside this dish a certain share of achilas pras. Meaning, if you're going to eat the share in a certain amount, you're going to for sure eat a kazais of this ingredient. And then you're chayiv according to this opinion deraisa. Ask the Gemara esvei steak derais. If you have two pots, you have two pots. Let's 2 pots of soup. One pot is chulin and one pot is trum. But if name meduchis, and in front of these 2 pots, you have 2 bowls, and inside these 2 bowls you have spices. One bowl has trumadic spices, and one bowl has chulindic spices. And each pot fell into one of the pans, one of the spices. The question is it mutter for you to have this soup, or it's not mutter? What's then mutter is mutter for somebody even not okay to eat it. Why? Because I say that the trumadic soup fell into the trumadic spices, and therefore Kain can have that one. The chulin say chulin nafla, and I would assume that the chulin fell into the chulindic spices, and therefore someone who's not a Kain can also eat the soup. Ask the Gemara, and if you're going to tell me, because if you're going to tell me that even a dish that's mixed in, that has mixed inside of it, other ingredients is also. Why do I say? Why am I so makon? I say that truma fell into the truma fell into the truma, and the chulin fell into the chulin. It could be that these spices that fell into these spices are not. It could be that the soup that's chulin fell into the trumadic spices, and in Midiraisa, now that you tell me that Midiraisa, when you have a mixture of something, it becomes aser. So how can you be so lenient and say that the chulin assume that the chulin fell into the trumadic into the chulindic spices? Maybe the truma fell into the chulin fell into the trumadic spices, and it's aser deiraisa. Okay, if you're going to tell me that measurements, meaning if you have a mixture of something, Midiraisa is okay. So then there's a reason to be assume. There's a reason to be so make and say that we assume that the chulin fell into the chulin. Why? Because even if it fell into truma, it's not. It's only spices of truma, and therefore it's only spices of truma. It's not the main dish, and therefore it would be you anyway be pot. But now that you're telling me that Midiraisa mixture is aser, so it could be that the chulin, the kasub that fell into the spices, is a mixture of truma and chul, and therefore it'll make the mixture aser. So Amar Lei, so Rav Dimi answered Mahanach leTrumas Tavlin, the Rabbanon. Don't bring a proof from truma of spices. I mean, the case we just brought now of soup falling into spices, because the din is that the truma, that which you chayiv truma for spices, is only the Rabbanon, and therefore this din is a din the Rabbanon, and that's why we're so makel. We're not makel because of different reasons. We're makel because over here we should have been machmir. If it was something else, we would have been machmir. Why? Because there is any mixture is us. The reason I'm makel over here is because it's truma the Rabbanon, because spices only chayiv truma the Rabbanon. Ask the Gemara. Ask another question. Another question. Shtei kupes. If you have 2 baskets, the inside the baskets have grain. Achas chulin v'achas shachulin v'achas truma. One basket has grain, which is chulin, and one basket has grain, which is truma. Sorry, but it's name shnei sein, and in front of these 2 baskets, you have 2 empty. You have 2 other baskets which have grain inside. So you have 4 baskets. Same case as before. 2 baskets of chulin, 2 baskets of truma. Each basket fell into each other. What's the name? Mutar and then mutar. Ask the Gemara. It says the Gemara, why the mutar? Because I assume chulin say chulin naflo, truma say truma naf. Each basket I could say that this basket the chulin fell into the chulin, and the truma fell into the truma, and therefore if the chulin fell into the chulin, then a zar someone who's not a kain could also eat it, and the truma fell into the truma, we just give it to a kain. Ask the Gemara, vi amrat kazayt b'teachil espas. The Raisa, if you're going to tell me that a kazayt b'teachil espas, meaning that if you have a mixture of het and iser together, it's also the Raisa. Why am I so meko and I say shani emer? Why am I so meko and say that assume that the chulin fell into the chulin and the truma fell into the truma? It's something the Raisa. Now they tell me that a din of a mixture is also the Raisa. So how can you meko? There's a suffix of this mixture. Is it in the Raisa? Amalei, so the basic answer to him, don't bring a proof from that brisa, because that brisa is speaking about Truma nowadays. And Truma nowadays is the Azonim Darabanan, and that's why we saw Meko. But if we tackle one Truma Deraisa, we'll be more machmi. Why are we more machmi? Because a mixture, b'chdei achilas pras is aser deraisa. Okay, we'll stop over at the bottom of Mem with Aleph. Mitzvah Hashem will continue tomorrow. At the bottom, we'll do Mem Dal and Amid Beis. Have a good night and good morning.